Have you ever felt the weight of words that were never true about you? People speaking behind your back, twisting your silence, misjudging your intentions, or even creating stories that never existed. At that moment, the natural reaction of the heart is to defend, to speak, to prove, to explain. But sometimes the most powerful statement you will ever make is silence, because the one who matters already knows the truth. Let them talk. Allah knows the truth. When you place your trust in Him, you begin to see that words cannot change your reality, and lies cannot hide the light of sincerity. The world may misjudge you, but the one who created you has written every detail, every trial, and every accusation. His knowledge is perfect, His justice is flawless, and His timing never fails. The real question is not whether people know who you are, but whether your Lord is pleased with who you are. Imagine a moment in your life when you are faced with false accusations, when people have spoken about you in ways that pierce your heart, when the weight of their words makes you feel suffocated and helpless. The natural instinct is to rise and defend, to fight back, to prove yourself right. But sometimes the most powerful response is not to defend yourself at all. Sometimes the loudest statement you will ever make is silence. Because when Allah defends you, no one can harm you. When Allah stands by you, the words of people become empty, their judgments meaningless, and their attempts to damage your honor end up exposing their own. The more you rush to justify yourself in front of people, the more restless your heart becomes. But when you surrender your case to the one who knows the truth, you will find a peace that no human being can take away from you. Think of the Prophet who was falsely accused, ridiculed and mocked in the most painful ways. They called him names, accused him of lies, spread rumors about his character and his family. If he had responded to every insult, his entire life would have been spent answering people who had no intention of listening. Instead, he entrusted his affairs to Allah, and Allah revealed verses in his defense, cleared his name, raised his status, and silenced the tongues of his enemies. That is the reality of reliance. When you trust Allah enough to remain dignified in silence, you allow His plan to unfold in your favor. Sometimes you will not see the vindication immediately, but rest assured, Allah never leaves the truth hidden. It may take days, months, but when the time comes, the truth will shine so brightly that even those who once doubted you will have no choice but to acknowledge it. Silence in the face of falsehood is not weakness. It is one of the greatest forms of reliance upon Allah. It is to say, my words cannot protect me, but Allah's knowledge is enough. My explanations cannot clear me, but Allah's justice is sufficient. Many times people feel silence means surrender, but in reality silence is often strength. It is a shield that protects your dignity from the chaos of argument. When you engage in endless debates with those who are bent on misunderstanding you, you give them control over your emotions. You hand them the power to disturb your peace. But when you remain silent and calm, you protect your soul from being dragged into their bitterness. This does not mean you never clarify when there is genuine benefit. Of course, there are moments when speaking is necessary to remove harm or to prevent injustice from spreading. But when you realize that nothing you say will change the hearts of those who are determined to misjudge you, then silence becomes your best defense. Your silence is not about avoiding the issue. It is about handing it over to Allah, the one who knows every hidden truth, the one who sees the sincerity of your heart even when the world chooses to ignore it. Every time you are tested with lies or rumors, you must remind yourself that this test is not about the tongues of others, but about your own response. This is where the second key comes in, understanding that every false word against you is a test for you, not a reflection of your worth. People may think they are belittling you, but in reality they are only instruments of your elevation. Allah allows these moments to unfold not to humiliate you, but to purify you. Every insult you endure with patience wipes away part of your sins. Every false accusation you respond to with dignity earns you a higher rank. Every time you resist the urge to retaliate with harshness, your heart grows stronger and your connection with Allah deepens. When you see it this way, you stop asking, why are they saying this about me? And you begin to ask, what is Allah teaching me through this? The question shifts from one of frustration to one of growth. Instead of being crushed by the weight of words, you rise above them with wisdom. You recognize that those who harm you with their tongues are not in control of your destiny. They are simply tools in the hands of Allah to test your patience and increase your reward. Sometimes Allah will allow falsehood to surround you so that you can learn not to depend on people for your honor. Because as long as you place your value in their hands, you will always be vulnerable. But when you place your value in Allah's hands, you become untouchable. They can say what they like. but your rank with Allah remains intact. And that is what truly matters. In fact, many times when people try to ruin you with their words, Allah uses those very same words to raise you higher. They spread rumors, yet the truth shines brighter. They attempt to break your spirit, yet you come out stronger. They want to extinguish your light, yet Allah increases it. Think of the stories of the past, how prophets and righteous people endured relentless slander. Yusuf was accused in the most dishonorable way, yet Allah raised him to a position of dignity and authority. Maryam was accused of things that would crush any heart, yet Allah honored her above many others. These trials were not punishments, they were divine lessons showing us that human tongues cannot harm those whom Allah chooses to protect. When you face your own moments of slander and misjudgment, remember you are walking a path that the most beloved of Allah's servants also walked. Their patience became their shield, and their silence became their victory. There is also a deeper wisdom behind these tests. Without them, we would never truly taste the sweetness of reliance. We would never truly know the relief that comes when you surrender your pain to Allah and watch Him take care of it in ways you could never imagine. You might be wronged by people, but when you keep your heart clean and your tongue restrained, you experience a form of freedom that no explanation could give. You rise above the noise of the world and find peace in the knowledge that Allah knows the truth. Even more, these tests reveal the reality of people around you. When others spread lies, you see who believes them without question and who remains loyal. When falsehood circulates, you learn who values truth and who is quick to judge. These moments, though painful, are gifts in disguise because they clear your life of those who were never meant to be close to you. They expose the insincerity of hearts that may have been hidden. In this way, what seems like a loss is actually protection. What feels like a wound is actually purification. So every time you hear something about yourself that is false, instead of allowing your heart to be heavy, remind yourself that this is a divine classroom. You are being taught reliance, patience, and dignity. You are being trained to detach from people's opinions and attach your worth to Allah alone. You are being elevated in ways you cannot yet see. And perhaps the very words spoken against you are the reason your place in paradise is being prepared, your sins are being wiped, and your soul is being polished. This is why silence and patience in these moments are not acts of weakness. They are acts of immense strength. It takes courage to stay calm when every part of you wants to fight back. It takes faith to trust that Allah will defend you without you uttering a single word. And it takes wisdom to understand that these false accusations are not your downfall, but your stepping stone. Let them speak. Let them think what they want. Their words do not define you. Allah's knowledge defines you. Their lies do not lower you. Allah's decree elevates you. And their noise will fade. But the lessons you gain will remain with you forever. Imagine being in a moment where the whispers of people surround you, their tongues moving faster than their hearts, their opinions louder than their sincerity, and their judgments cutting deeper than their compassion. At that time, you might wonder, should I respond? Should I defend? Should I prove myself? But then you remind yourself, what is louder than the truth that Allah already knows? If He is aware of my heart, if He is aware of my intention, then what weight does the noise of people carry? It will feel heavy, yes, but only because you are allowing their words to sit in your chest instead of letting them fall on the ground where they belong. Many times in life, the biggest burden we carry is not what people say, but the fact that we allow ourselves to replay their words again and again in our minds as though we can't find the pause button. That is why the one who understands that Allah knows, that Allah sees, and that Allah hears will not waste their energy in explaining to every tongue that moves, because the one who matters most is already aware. When you reflect on the lives of the prophets, you see this pattern over and over again. People said things about them, people accused them, mocked them, rejected them. And yet their calmness came from knowing that the truth was not hidden from Allah. Take the example of Yusuf. His own brothers conspired against him, threw him into a well, lied to their father, and then spread a narrative that suited their plan. Years passed with him being wronged and misunderstood, but never once did the truth escape Allah's knowledge. And when the time came, Allah unfolded the story in such a way that their lies collapsed. And the truth stood tall, shining brighter than any explanation Yusuf could have given. This is a reminder for you that even if the entire world paints you with false colors, the brush of truth is only in Allah's hand, and when He chooses to reveal it, no lie can hide it any longer. So you will find comfort when you remind yourself, let them talk, let them plot, let them twist, because the truth is not in their mouths, it is with Allah. There is also something very important here. The human desire to defend yourself is natural. Nobody likes to be misrepresented. Nobody likes to be accused falsely. You feel the fire inside you when people lie about you, but the key lies in how you channel that fire. If you use it to argue, to chase every accusation, to explain yourself to those who already don't want to believe you, you will only burn yourself out. But if you take that fire and turn it into fuel for patience, for prayer, for trusting Allah, then instead of burning you, it will light the way ahead of you. And isn't that the secret of strength? To take what was meant to break you and turn it into a step towards Allah. So when people talk, your response should not always be words. It should be silence filled with dignity, patience filled with faith, and actions filled with sincerity. Because over time, your silence will speak louder than their gossip, your patience will shine brighter than their mockery, and your sincerity will last longer than their lies. Think about how people's words fade. Someone might say something about you today, and it hurts, it spreads, it feels like the world is watching. But give it some time, and you will see how quickly people move on to the next story, the next rumor, the next person. But in that moment, you must realize that their words are temporary, while Allah's knowledge is eternal. If you hold on to the eternal, you won't crumble at the temporary. And when Allah chooses to elevate you, those very tongues that once mocked you will be silenced without you lifting a finger. This is why one of the most beautiful ways to live is to focus on being right with Allah rather than being right in the eyes of people. If you chase people's approval, you will never rest, because one day they love you and the next they change their opinion. But if you chase Allah's approval, then whether people love you or hate you, whether they praise you or slander you, your heart remains steady, because the one you live for is constant, unchanging, and just. And here is where the lesson truly sinks in. Do not allow lies to make you lose yourself. Sometimes when people attack your character, you get so busy trying to prove them wrong that you end up compromising your own principles. You lower yourself to their level, you let anger dictate your words, you let hurt control your actions, and in the end, you become a mirror of those who hurt you. But the one who truly trusts Allah will rise above. You don't need to answer every critic, you don't need to chase every rumor, you don't need to fight every accusation. You just need to live in such a way that even if people talk, the truth of your character speaks louder. Let them talk, let them assume, let them twist, because Allah knows the truth. And He is with you. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. That inner peace, that quiet strength, that patience, that is the real victory. And it is something no tongue can take away from you. Sometimes in life, you will realize that the heaviest pain is not the struggle you go through, but the weight of words that people place upon you. Words that sting, words that travel faster than truth, words that paint you in colors you never wore, words that try to define you when they don't even know your reality. And in those moments, you will be tempted to fight, to shout, to prove, to defend, because deep down, every human being wants to be understood. But the deeper wisdom is that the one who is understood by Allah has no need to be understood by people. When the Creator knows your heart, when He knows your intentions, when He knows the purity of your struggle, then even if the entire world misjudges you, you remain at peace. That is why the strongest heart is not the one that convinces others, but the one that convinces itself that Allah's knowledge is enough. This is not easy, because silence feels like weakness to some. You might feel that staying quiet while people talk means you are letting them win. But think carefully. What is victory in the eyes of people compared to victory in the sight of Allah? Victory in people's eyes is applause, acceptance, being praised and recognized, but victory in the sight of Allah is patience, sincerity, and holding on to your dignity even when your name is dragged through the mud. That is why the ones who will truly succeed are those who choose Allah's approval over the claps of the crowd. They will walk in silence while others shout. They will keep doing good while others criticize. They will keep moving forward while others try to hold them back. And in the end, the world will witness that their silence was not weakness, it was strength, because Allah Himself defended them. When you study history, you see how truth always rises, no matter how long lies surround it. Lies are like foam on water. They may cover the surface for a while, but eventually they dissolve and the water remains clear. That is how life works. People can say what they want, accuse how they want, but when Allah knows the truth, He makes sure that falsehood will not last forever. Look at the prophets. They were called names, accused of being liars, magicians, madmen, and yet every accusation fell apart with time. Why? Because Allah was their defender, and the truth cannot be erased when He has preserved it. The same applies to you. If you live sincerely, if you strive for goodness, if you keep your intentions pure, then let them talk. Their voices may be loud, but they are not everlasting. They may spread their assumptions, but they cannot stop Allah from revealing the truth at the right time. It is also important to understand that when people talk, they are revealing themselves more than they are revealing you. The tongue is a mirror of the heart, and those who rush to slander often carry a heart filled with insecurity, jealousy, or hatred. That is why wise people do not spend too much time worrying about critics, because they know that those words come from wounds, not wisdom. And why should you hand over your peace to someone whose own heart is not at peace? Why should you trade your calmness for their chaos? This is why patience is more powerful than argument, because your silence not only protects your dignity, it also exposes the weakness of those who cannot stop talking. But silence should never be mistaken for passiveness. It is not about ignoring injustice. It is about choosing the right battles. When the attack is personal, when it is about your reputation, when it is built upon lies, then silence becomes your shield. Or when the attack is against truth, justice, or the rights of others, then your voice becomes necessary. The wisdom lies in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. And this wisdom comes when you connect with Allah, because He gives you the clarity to recognize that your reputation is in His hands. And your duty is to stand firm on what is right, and not to chase what people say. And here is something that you must hold on to. People's words cannot change Allah's plan for you. They may try to bring you down with lies, but if Allah has written honor for you, no rumor can erase it. They may try to close doors for you, but if Allah has written your path, He will open doors you never imagined. They may try to bury you with gossip, but Allah will make that very soil the ground where your seeds of success grow. So instead of drowning in their words, anchor yourself in His promises. Remember that the world is temporary, its opinions are temporary, but what remains eternal is your relationship with Allah. And when you strengthen that relationship, you will walk with a confidence that no slander can shake, because you know that Allah is with you even when people are against you. Sometimes the test is not about the lies people tell, but about your ability to stay focused. Because if you spend your life chasing every rumor, trying to correct every narrative, you will waste your energy. But if you stay focused on your goals, on your acts of worship, on your responsibilities, then their words will eventually fade in the background while your life continues to move forward. That is why you must learn to detach your heart from the opinions of people. Care for them, be kind to them, but do not allow their judgments to become the compass of your life. Your compass is faith, your direction is Allah's pleasure, and your goal is the hereafter. Everything else is just noise along the way. And know this, the pain of being misunderstood is part of the journey of every sincere person. It is almost a sign that you are walking on a path worth walking. If everyone praises you, if no one criticizes you, if no one opposes you, then perhaps you are not standing for anything meaningful. But when you choose to hold on to truth, when you live with sincerity, then expect that some hearts will not understand and some tongues will not stay quiet. This is part of the test. And the greater your patience, the greater your reward. Because silence in the face of lies is not weakness. It is worship. It is a declaration that you trust Allah more than you trust the court of public opinion. So let them talk. Let them assume. Let them spread what they want. None of it can change who you are in Allah's sight. And that is what matters most. Because at the end of the day, when you are placed in your grave, it will not be their words that matter. It will be Allah's judgment. And on that day, the same people who once spoke about you will be too busy worrying about themselves. So why should you lose your peace over words that will not matter in the end? Stay firm, stay sincere, stay connected to Allah, and you will rise above the noise, carrying with you the strength of knowing that He alone knows the truth.